Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rune Snow. Today we'll be doing Let's Talk Legendary. So we'll be talking from this guy from Magic the Gathering, Glacian. Well, as you can see in the picture, Glacian is actually human. This human is from the plane of Dominaria. He lived during the time of the Thran Empire. As well in the picture, you can see that he was a Thran artificer. He even created Power Stones, which is a major component in Thran technology. Glacian, while working in his shop one time, he was stabbed with the Power Stone Gix. And because of this, he actually caught a disease known as phthisis. Phthisis is actually caused by long exposure to the Power Stones. He attempted to heal, but the magic had actually made it worse. He was actually married to a woman known as Rebecca. She was a very powerful woman, and she had connections in the Senate. So for the fear of her husband, she actually used her influence to let them bring back Yawgmoth, who attempted to heal him. At this point, Yawgmoth was actually exiled. Yawgmoth was actually able to find a cure, but for some reason it didn't work on him. The cure had actually made it worse. So for Glacian, as a result, he became more increasingly paranoid because of the disease. With any typical love story, Yawgmoth actually fell in love with Glacian's wife, Rebecca. He managed to banish Glacian to the Caves of the Damned, so he can have Rebecca all to himself. What Yawgmoth actually didn't know was that the two halves of the Power Stones in his wound, after taking them out, actually a sliver of the Power Stone that was making him sick. These Power Stones actually created a permanent portal between Dominaria and Phyrexia. For obvious reasons, these Power Stones had eventually killed Glacian. What Yawgmoth didn't know was that his essence was actually trapped in the stones when he had perished. When this happened, he was able to think finally straight and clear and convince Rebecca to unify the Power Stones in half. Because of this, the portals were actually closed. After that, we do know Glacian possessed the spark, but he never ended up using it, and that's all the information right now we have on him. So Glacian is actually represented in one card only, the one that you've seen throughout this video. And this Power Stone Engineer basically says tap X artifacts you control, look at the top X cards of your library, put one of those cards into your graveyard, and the rest in your graveyard. Not very good card, but anyway, makes good for a legendary card. And the saying is, his energy is boundless as the Power Stones. Rebecca, Architect of Ascension. So Glacian is actually quoted or referred to as in Rebecca, Architect of Ascension, so his wife. And this cool saying says, she sees beyond technology to what it enables. Glacian, Power Stone Engineer. So they made it actually a really cool, powerful couple. And that's it. So I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rune Snow. Today we'll be doing Let's Talk Legendary. Today we'll talk about Graaz, the unstoppable juggernaut. Well, for obvious reasons, you can tell by the picture and the name, Graaz is actually a juggernaut from the plane of New Phyrexia. As Mirrodin levelers were created, just like Graaz, were created by Memnarch to create terror across the plane. When Memnarch was finally perished by Karn, Graaz had no leader and no really goal in life. But Graaz actually still wanders the surface of Mirix, destroying everything in its path. It does still act as if Memnarch was still around. And that is all the information we have on this unstoppable, legendary juggernaut. And sadly, with that being said, Graaz is only represented in one card, so maybe we'll see more in the future about Graaz. You control each combat if able juggernauts. Juggernauts you control can't be blocked by walls, and they have a base power of 5/3. So that's really interesting. You can play around with that card for sure. It definitely would be fun in drafts. And I don't other see the card being really good at all, but it's the way it is. So I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rune. So today we'll be doing Let's Talk Legendary. Today we'll be talking about Hurkyl, the Master Wizard. So there's very little information on Hurkyl, having been in existence since the beginning of Magic, basically. She is, though, a human from the plane of Dominaria, more specifically from the Terracer in Latnam. As you can guess from where she is from, she is one from the co-founders of the College of Latnam. She also helped create a group known as the Third Path, which is a bunch of people from various fields such as historians, magic users, artificers, or intelligence. She had helped rediscover magic on Terracer when it had all disappeared. She's also married to another famous from Latnam, Drafnam. She had sadly perished when using a spell called Hurkyl's Recall to stop Mishra's attack on Terracer City, and she did manage to vaporize the 3 dragon engines in the process, but she ended her life sadly quite shortly. So I won't go too much detail, but she's represented in one card and one card only is Hurkyl, the Master Wizard, which you've seen throughout the video, and it took the series Brothers War to finally put her on a card. So we're going to just go over a couple cards that she's associated with now. With the first one being Hurkyl's Final Meditation, and it is from the series of Brothers War as well. It says return all non-land permanents to their owner's hand, end the turn. I like that saying, end the turn. Then we do have Hurkyl's Recall, which of course ended her life, as I mentioned earlier. And it says return all artifacts target player owns to their hand. And it says Hurkyl's research at the College of Latnam wasn't enough to stop the two brothers, but for centuries thereafter, her spellcraft taught artificers restraint. So we're going to start off with this card for the quoted or referred to in cards, and this one being Cloud Key from Brothers War. A key only unlocks door. Its wielder must choose whether to cross the threshold. Next we have is Drafna, founder of Latnam. As well, it's her husband in the Brothers War series as well. Alongside his wife, Hurkyl, Drafna built a legacy of scholarship that endured for a millennia. The next card we have is Mind's Eye. It says, I sit and think of Latnam, of one of the azure waves, while froth suspended over the shore. I see the energy there, and I call it here. Hurkyl, Meditation Notes. Then we got the Dominaria card called Rescue. It had specifically from this series. With just a few seconds to escape, Darian saved Hurkyl's additions to restoring physical objects from ash. Next we have is Flow of Knowledge from the Brothers War, so they're really emphasizing her in this series. It says, focus your mind. Do you hold a piece of the ocean or 1,000 drops of rain? Hurkyl. Next we have is Scatter Ray. Its abilities is the same as any other. It says Mishra's army demanded the secrets of the third path. Hurkyl's followers graciously showed them. As you can see, they're spraying the robots in the picture. And then we finally got Gilded Lotus. It says the lotus's opponent but ephemeral source of power to preserve its potency and lacquer carefully with conductive coating. And the last and final card before we go is Well of Lost Dreams. And the saying is, a wish can be controlled. Dreams are far more chaotic and ungoverned by rationale. And that is all the cards that are associated with her. This is all the information. So I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rune. So today we'll be doing Let's Talk Legendary. Today we'll be talking about Kemba. So Kemba is actually a legendary creature from the plane of Mirrodin. She was also born in a place called Razor Fields. She is actually related to another legend Leonin named Raksha Golden Cub. On top of that, she is the leader of the last of the Leonin on the Razor Fields. When Memnarch, who was actually a golem, became in power of the region, she was able to lead the hundreds of Leonin to safety at the young age. When the elder Leonin disappeared during the event known as the Vanishing Ones, she was chosen to be the new leader of the group. She didn't want to be the leader, which is known as Ka, but relented as that's what her people wanted. She was also able to oversee the reconstruction of the place called Tajnir. This helped the morale of the Leonin. As being a leader, gathering all the magic users of her kind, called Ambondas, to fight against the Phyrexians on the plane. Then she became the advisor to the planeswalker of Volstock and Koth. With these three working together, they were able actually to create a strong resistance on the plane. And that is all the information we have on Kemba at the moment. So Kemba is actually represented in two cards. The first one you've seen throughout the video, it's a 2 for a 2/2. And when another cat enters the battlefield under your control, attach up to one target equipment you control. So you're definitely going to have equipments and cats for this type of card. Then she is represented in the Double Masters. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 white cat creature token for each equipment attached to Kemba. So that's really cool and a really strong card if you're able to pull that off. And that card picture is very impressive. Now Kemba is associated with 3 cards at the moment, and this one is Kemba's Banner, and there's really not much more to explain. That's Kemba's Banner. Then we have Kemba's Legion. It's a cat soldier, and well, that's her Legion, the last of the cat soldiers. Then we got Kemba's Skyguard, and that's also pretty self-explanatory based on the picture as you can see. And Kemba is actually depicted in one card only from the M21, and as you can see in the background, there she is, because 9 lives, she's a cat. Kind of makes sense. It's really cool that they did this in the card. And believe it or not, Kemba is actually quoted in one card only, and this one at the bottom says, left without their leader, Rakasha. The Leonin split into two prides. One side supported the Regent Ka, while the other rebelled in fury. And this is all the information we have on Kemba at the moment, like I said, and those are the cards. So I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rune Snow, and today we'll be doing Let's Talk Legendary. So we're going to explore the legendary creature, Kwain. There is virtually no information on Kwain, but we do know Kwain is an annoying rabbit from an unknown plane. But we do know it is from the same plane as the creature known as Archelios. As one would expect from the rabbit folk, he is actually a fast talker, thinker, and a runner. Kwain, being always fast, thinks that people spend too much time thinking as a result, as the world moves too slow. As a result of Kwain's thoughts, he actually thinks Archelios, who is the opposite in every way to Kwain, and this annoys Kwain very much. And that's all the information we have Kwain on at the moment. And as one would expect, Kwain, being from the Commander series, this is the only card that is currently represented, and it's just 2 mana for a 1/3, and it just says each player may draw a card, then each player who drew a card, this way gains 1 life. Why so slow? Why so slow? Hurry up, you'll never know what you'll find. So again, that is the short information and all the information we have on Kwain. So I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rune Snow. Today we'll be doing Let's Talk Legendary. Today we'll be talking about the infamous Lannery Storm. So Lannery Storm is a human from the plane of Ixalan who is actually a pirate commander. She's the pirate commander of the group known as the Brazen Coalition. Lannery Storm is a pirate who does not like senseless violence, who prefers freedom of the seas and exploration. She still plunders like any pirate and has a unique ability to evade capture. She has a nickname called Slippery, as she lives up to her name, how she always manages to escape capture. If she manages to get captured by that some rare chance, she can easily get out of and stealing treasure on the way if it is near. Of course, she finds this whole thing exhilarating. Rumor has it that her spirit cannot be contained, so therefore no one could ever hold her for very long. People who follow Lannery seem to have the best of luck when they're out at sea. It is said her captains that follow her have the best parties and the most treasure. Such captains that follow her are Captain Foley, Captain Oldjin, and Captain Benno. Her fleet likes to decorate their ships with their outfits generally decorated as well, which of course is commonly with these commissioned vessels. And believe it or not, that is all and the little information we have on Lannery Storm. As you've seen throughout the video, she's only actually represented in one card only, and from the Ixalan. So there's pretty simple. You've seen the card throughout the video. When it attacks, create a color treasure token, and it costs 3 mana for this 2/2 haste, which is very impressive because you may sacrifice a treasure storm to give it +1/0 until end of turn, and there's many cards that can make this pump very fast. Now she's quoted or referred to in many cards. The first one being Colossal Dreadmaw, and it says, "Remember, it was the most terrifying thing you'd ever seen, Captain Lannery Storm." Next we have is Storm Fleet Sprinter. It says, "Charge like a red-hot cannonball straight to your target. You slow down, you sink, Captain Lannery Storm." And there's the picture. Next such card is Naturalized from this set, obviously. It says, "Better to let the sword go than to lose the arm with it, Captain Lannery Storm." And of course, if you look at the picture of the dinosaur, it just fits the saying absolutely perfect. Then there's the Traverse Amulet, and well, it says, "The best kind of treasure is the kind that leads to more treasure, Captain Lannery Storm." And that is true even in real life. Then we have Opt. It is easy to anticipate Captain Storm's orders. Take the more dangerous route. True to any pirate. Then we have Unknown Shores. It says, "Just imagine what's waiting around the bend. Adventure, discovery, riches for the taking. This is why I sail, Captain Lannery Storm." And there's that little ship going down that unknown shore. Then we have this interesting card from actually Modern Horizons, not from the Ixalan series, and the saying says, "That was perhaps the most terrifying thing that I thought I almost saw," because it's an illusion, which is really cool because I like how they integrate their characters into many sets, and this being one of them. Then we have Watery Grave. This card itself is a secret lair card. It says, "Ships go missing in the storm wreck. sea all the time. That's why we don't call it the calm, safe current. Captain Lannery Storm. And last but not least, we have a card from the Double Masters 2022. Stormfleet Pyromancy. I like the picture, and it just goes perfect with the saying. She's quick and fearless, and she never missed a shot. That almost makes up for all the scorch marks she leaves behind. Captain Lannery Storm. Well, that's all the cards and information we have on Lannery Storm, so I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Runestone. Today we'll be doing Let's Talk Legendary. We'll be talking about the infamous Loran, the Disciple of History. So as you can see based on the picture, Loran is a human from the plane of Dominaria. She was born in a place known as Argive Terrasair. With that being said, she is a scholar from Argive who studied under the planeswalker known as Tokasia. Unusual fact though, Tokasia knew Urza and Mishra from their childhood. When she grew up with all her studies and she had co-founded the group known as the Third Path in the city of Terrasair City. This group was dedicated to stop machines that Urza and Mishra had created, which these destroy all in their paths. These were unsuccessful and the city had fallen. Loran had escaped with the Silex and headed toward a place known as Ronam Glacier, as she was to meet another person from the Third Path called Feldon. Sadly, she was captured by Ashnod. When this happened, Ashnod got the Silex and was able to acquire the knowledge on how to use it. Feldon was able to rescue Loran from Ashnod after years of capture. When they were escaping and were at the bottom of the Ronan Glacier, they had felt the Silex blast. She simply said, "Good," realizing the war was finally over. She had died about 10 years later on some illness which has never been known. Feldon had tried to resurrect her and actually succeeded in resurrecting her, but only long enough to say goodbye. With that being said, she's represented in 2 cards, the first one being Loran, Disciple of History, which you've seen throughout the video, costs 4 mana for a 3/3. And when another legendary creature enters the battlefield under control, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Another card that she's represented from Brothers of War is basically Loran of the Third Path, costs 3 mana for this 2/1 with Vigilance. And when it enters the battlefield, disrupt to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Tap at you and target opponent each draw a card. So that's really cool. She draws the knowledge, so everyone draws a card, as well as destroying artifacts in the path if she needs to. So it's pretty obvious she's associated with 1 card, and it's called Loran's Escape, and there she is with Silex. He's trying to escape the city before it's destroyed, and there's nothing more to that other than that picture is really cool. And lastly, 1 card is she's quoted or referred to in is in Feldon of the Third Path. And on the bottom it says, "She'll come back to me." And that's his attempt to resurrecting Loran. And that's all the cards and information we have on Loran at the moment. So I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Rune. So today we'll be talking about Mavren Fein, the legendary creature. So let's discover what he's about. So Mavren Fein is actually a vampire from the plane of Ixalan. We actually know that Marvin was born sometime before the year 403060. He lives on the eastern continent of Tezeran, where the majority of the vampire's population lives. He is also a high-ranking official, a part of the group known as Legion of the Dusk. Marvin has a voice of the demeanor to make a person of authority, which he uses to help find the vampire known as Alendra, or the first vampire, to acquire the immortal sun. This is to give his people eternal life. Marvin is actually one of Alendra's first converts about 200 years before the race of the Orazaka, who lived in their legendary Golden City, which was in the jungles of Ixalan. One day, Ilanda sailed away from it, and eventually, after 2 centuries, he started to sail and find her. Suddenly, during the Bloodfast, he was actually in this period which he broke the boat, making the boat crash. Bloodfast is actually a period of time in which they starve themselves, making them, basically animals and working on instincts. But as a result of the boat crashing, he ended up in Adanto with another vampire known as Vona of Ledo to reach Oraza, where the immortal sun was actually located. At that critical moment when they were actually about to get the immortal sun, other groups such as Vraska and Jace, the Sun Empire, Hualti, and Angarath, which is the pirate crew, all showed up at the same time. But while they were fighting, in the end, Tazaret actually stole the immortal sun while all these groups were fighting. When this happened, conveniently, Elenda reappeared from who knows where. She said to her followers, their duty as an end and immortality was never actually supposed to be granted to them. Of course, hearing upon this, Marvin was absolutely angry about all of this, with Elandra telling him that others that this was the point of their cult and group. But after this, Mavren decided to leave the Legion of the Dusk and left for the continent known as Ixalan. But after that, we don't know what happened, so we might actually see him in the future and what happens. So you've seen this card throughout the entire video, and well, Mavren is actually represented in this card and this card alone. It costs 3 mana for this 2/2 legendary creature vampire cleric. Basically, a non-token vampires you control attack, create a 1/1 vampire creature token with lifelink. So you can have fun with this card in real Magic decks if you want to. And believe it or not, he is depicted in this card. Bottom says, Vana sought a conqueror, Mavren sought a savior. Both found what they sought. And that is actually all the information, all the cards that we have on him. And I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening.